be creative with this week and thinking of all the artsy things I've done, and they've all been epic fails because I'm not an artsy person. So I thought about the fact of creating something, and I thought of my parents. 4 years ago, my parents started a business. It's a long process to start a business. It depends on, they had to come up with a name. They had to decide what they were going to sell. They had to have a business plan so they could make money and get a loan, and so they could sell things. And what happens when you sell things? You have to take them to people's houses. They sell appliances, so those aren't easy to move. So they had to get a dolly. They had to get a truck to sell things. They had to have people who would work there. They had to create a database. There's a lot of details that go into creating a store. Once they had everything set up, my mom had a 6.5-page shopping list that she had to go through in a month time period to be able to open the store. She was saying things that were on this list that seemed pretty obvious, like pens. I wouldn't remember to grab pens for an opening day of a store. Things like that are just not things I'm creative enough to think about. But, yeah. So, I'm a little nervous, so just go with me. All right, so my parents created a store. Well, last week we talked about God created this world. And in particular, He created us. So I'm just going to read you a passage from Psalm 139, 13 through 18. It says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you." Wow. That's a lot of creativity. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to knit, but it's a very, difficult process. I see, are you shaking your head? You knit?
It takes so long.
It does. It's a long
You mess something with bootstrapping.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we've got an idea, or some of us have an idea of what it is like to knit. These verses have things that go together. Repetition, that's the word I'm looking for. All right, for God created us, our inmost being. He knit us together. It goes on later to say, when I was woven together. Those are two different places where it's detailed about how much effort God put into making us. These guys said, there's a lot of things that go into knitting. It is a long process, and it's a delicate, intricate process. And the awesome thing is that God did that with each one of us. He took that time to think about, how am I going to put these people together? There's another Bible verse that said, God knows the number of hairs on our head. I'm not really sure if you know this or not, but I have a lot of hair. And so for God to know every little detail, He knows the number of hairs on my head. He knows that I'm going to be this tall. He's known this since before I was born. When I was conceived, God knew what I was going to be like. He knew my laugh. He knew every little random detail about me that maybe I don't always like, but He created me to be me. It goes on to say, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. I think that's something that we all kind of skip over when we read this. I think that we each look in a mirror or think about ourselves sometimes and don't realize the greatness God has created. We don't think about the fact that He has thought about us enough that His thoughts about us outnumber the grains of sand. We just wake up in the morning and we're like, I'm Ashley, or I'm Madison, or I'm Tiernan. We just think about these things. And we don't always like ourselves. I'll be the first to admit, there's things about me that I would love to change. And I'm not really sure why God created me to be me. Some of you know that I love soccer. It's a great sport. I love playing. I'm pretty sure my dad put a soccer ball in front of me, my first step, so he could say I've been playing soccer since I could walk. But I had some health issues, and I have bad knees and bad legs, and I just can't play anymore. But God didn't create me to be a soccer player. It's a joy that he gave me, but I think God created me to do ministry. So if I was to follow my dream of playing soccer and do what I think is right, then I would forget about doing ministry, and I wouldn't be here right now hanging out with you guys. And I think we need to apply that to our daily lives when we see the supermodels or the big buff guys who are TV celebrities and every girl wants to be with them. I said that wrong, it's weird. Okay, so, like, Us Weekly has, like, the Sexiest Man of the Year award, right? So every girl wants to be with that guy, and every guy wants to be the guy's desire, and every girl wants to be some, like, tall, skinny supermodel. But that's not how God created us. And if we all looked the exact same, that would be so boring.
I know, right? Hey, you're
If we were all the same, then we'd still desire to be something better, but that's not what we're better, just so I'm clear, better. God created us individually. He took his time on each one of us and made us exactly who he wanted us to be. My parents could have done anything. They could have started any business they wanted, but they started an appliance store because that's what made them happy. God made you the way you are because that's what makes him happy. Each one of you. So when you try and change something about yourself, or when you don't feel pretty enough and you feel like you need to lose weight, so you become anorexic, or when you're a guy or you take steroids, like those things don't make God happy because it's not you. Like that's not who you're meant to be. So when we try to live up to these standards that are just ridiculous, we disappoint ourselves and we therefore are dissing God's artwork. Okay, so the boys who knit, if you made some, or anybody who's made artwork, anybody do artwork and been proud of something? Okay. What if I walked up to you and said, your artwork stinks? Like it's horrible. Why did you even do that? That's what we do every time we tell ourselves that we're ugly. Or if you're totally okay with who you are, but you don't like your neighbor, or you think somebody's annoying or stupid, and you say, oh, why do they exist? You are totally dissing God's artwork that he knit together, that he took time on. Each one of us is different, and God created us that way. So, my challenge for you, real short talk tonight, guys. I just really want you to think about yourself as artwork. That you're not dumb, or you're not stupid, or you're not ugly, and you aren't a supermodel, or some jacked up God. Like, who cares? You are you, and that's who God created you to be. Yeah, real short talk tonight. So I'm going to pray real quick, and we're going to do something awesome. We're going to have the girls go to this direction, and the boys are going to stay over here. And we're going to break up into small groups and just talk about a couple things real quick. So, huh? Because I said so. Alright, so I'm going to pray real quick, and then we're going to head up and break up. Alright. Dear God, thank you for all the students who came here tonight, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to tell them about you and your wonderful creation, Lord. I just pray that you help each one of us to realize exactly who you created us to be and accept that artwork, Lord. And bless the rest of our time together, and help us to have a great rest of the week. And in your name I pray, amen.
All right, guys, over here, girls.